Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Hands on SAP Dev with me again, DJ Q Macro. Welcome one and all. Welcome to Visas in Bangkok, Thailand. Great to have you again. One of the regulars. It's great to see you, Visas. And Ravi Kumar. Good morning to you, or good afternoon, maybe. Yes, I'm looking at my watch here, 8:01. Yes, good afternoon to you in I was in Bangalore. And what is CAP? Well, you've come to the right place to find out. Good, welcome. CAP is short for Cloud Application Programming, and more specifically, it's sort of short for SAP Cloud Application Programming Model. It's a programming framework that supports Node.js and Java, and it's amazing. It's beautiful. It's built by a wonderful set of teams of people at SAP, and this is what this Back to Basics series is all about, the Node.js specific version or flavor of CAP. So yeah, stick around and you'll find out a little bit more. Good morning to you, Helmut in Braunschweig in Germany, and Antonio, good morning to you, and Chiara, buongiorno, and Ajay, good afternoon to you, and Zahid, good morning to you in Solihull, sunny Solihull. Fantastic. I'm just a little bit further north than you. I'm sort of, where's the nearest place? I'm in Bursko, which is sort of near Ormskirk. Yeah, Ormskirk, that sort of area. Henrik, good morning to you in Denmark, and Anshul, hi, good morning to you, and Tom, good morning from Greece. Hellas. Fantastic. And Ola Monica Raphael, good morning to you in Poland, and Raphael, good morning to you in the Schweiz, in Switzerland, and so no more ABAP for CAP. I'll come back to that in a second to say lots of good mornings. It's fantastic. Thank you all, by the way, for saying good morning. I love it. Because it's nice to see who's on, and it's nice to see you interacting. Sasku, good morning to you in Munich, and Anshul, good morning to you in I don't know where you are, but am I from Germany? No, I'm from Manchester in Brexit land. That's where I'm from, and I'm coming to you live from the Leeds and Liverpool Canal from my narrowboat, as usual now. So so no more ABAP for CAP. Well, there is an equivalent, let's call it equivalent, framework for the ABAP developers amongst us, which is the RESTful Application Programming Model. And they share many similarities, and they share a lot, almost like, I remember that phrase, what's that phrase? The United Kingdom and the United States of America, two nations divided by a common language. English, obviously. So, just different sort of dialects, different sort of, I suppose versions of the same language in the same sort of way, similar sort of way. RAP and CAP both use the declarative language CDS, but there are some subtle differences between the two. But yeah, stick around and a little bit about CAP. Fantastic. Anshul, lovely, fantastic. So, home of the Tom, yes, exactly. Home, Brexit land, home of the idiots. Welcome. So yeah, we're going to cover, I'm going to blow my nose for a second. We're going to cover compositions today. When I say cover, I was like worrying all week, like, will we fit everything into the one episode about compositions? I think we'll do the basics certainly in this episode, but compositions are so important, and they're so wonderful. That we may have to extend into another episode. But anyway, let's get going. DJ, stop talking. Anil says, hi, this is Anil from Mumbai. Welcome to you, Anil, and welcome to you, Jennifer, in India. And Mark, good morning to you in Kiel. Hope to see you at ABAP and Recap. Yes, I'll be there at Co-Connect in June, early June. Good morning, DJ. Good morning to you, Nitesh, as well. Fantastic. Let me move to the main screen so I can start sharing stuff. So we're going to be looking at compositions today. We're going to be using the CAP B2B repo that we've been working on, a nice and simple repo. We're moving from what we've got so far, which is just books and authors with an association, which is sort of related to compositions, but not quite the same. We'll talk about that in a minute. And we'll sort of transmogrify that stuff into something we can start thinking about compositions with. And it also says here, let's just jump in for a second. CAP runtimes provide these special treatments to compositions out of the box. So we're going to be seeing if we can see these treatments, experience the wonder of these these three treatments: deep insert or update, cascaded delete, and auto exposition. Auto exposition, is that the right word? Auto exposure. Auto exposure of composition targets. What even does that mean? We're going to find out today, hopefully. So anyway, before we get on, oh, by the way, so before I used to sort of, preload the chat buffer here with all these URLs. So of course, then you have to go back to the chat and find out where these things are. What the heck is that face doing there? I don't know what's going on. Anyway, let me do that. Bang, there, perfect. Get rid of that stuff. But I thought of a better idea. I have been doing this in the past. Let me know in the chat. We have in the SAP events, in the events part of the new SAP community platform, we have SAP community events. I will share that link because that's really all you need, I suppose. Put that down there. And then in each week, I will put in, if I remember, an entry. So people can sort of subscribe to that and everything and blah, blah, blah. You don't have to do that. But this is also good because that is therefore also where, and you can go back and look in the calendar, go back to previous, there's where is it? Go back to April and have a look there. You can see back to basics, so there's one we did on the 8th of March, for example. And you can go back there and look at all the links to all the resources we talked about. And so instead of putting all the URLs to all these different things that I'm going to show you, I'm going to put them in. I've just started typing them in while I was waiting for 8 o'clock to start and everything. So I'll put them in here, if that's okay. Let me know if that will be a better option for you. Okay, so all these things in here are all these tabs here. Then you can go back later on, have a coffee after the live stream finished and get all the links from here. Oh, by the way, hello and welcome to Anshul. Are we doing SAP Analytics Cloud? Oh, no, we're not. So my very good friend and colleague Vitali is the person to talk to there about SAP Analytics Cloud. This is SAP Cloud Application Programming. Naming, what's that adage? In computer science, there are two hard problems: cache invalidation, naming things, and off by one errors. See what I did there? See what the joke did there? Anyway, so yeah, the names can be sometimes confusing. This is the Cloud Application Programming Model, and it's about a programming model that allows us to build services, back-end services primarily for our cloud applications. It's amazing. So Antonio, good night. Good night from Mexico. Good early morning. And welcome and thank you for joining. And Ashok, thank you for joining to you in Belgium. Amazing. So we have the SAP Developer News there. It came out last night. There's Antonio talking about SAP Code Jams. Talking about SAP Code Jams, here's all the SAP Code Jams upcoming. And again, you can get all the links in here. Tom and Rich, our illustrious pair of ABAPers in the developer advocates team. We of course have got Mamiki as well, but they have moved over. They're travelled over this week, and they're in where are they? In Amsterdam. So they're doing a code jam. They're starting a code jam right now. So there's another what's the word? Road trip code jam. So check out all the code jams there. The developer challenge being run by Daniel. We're in the next week, and it's all about formula. So check out the developer challenge on SAP Build Apps. It's amazing. So Ian Thane put a news item in the news this week about that. And when I was sort of thinking about the compositions, there's a couple of I'll write about this because it's maybe somebody might be interested. So have a look at this. So there's a blog post here that I wrote about basically sometimes. If you're maintaining some JSON data in the project directory, in a CAP project directory, and of course you maintain that for whatever reason, you want to use that as a payload in a curl request, in a post request, for example, you might not want the CAP server to restart. And if you're running it in CDS watch mode, it will restart because that's usually what you want. So here's a little bit of a hack as to how you can stop it automatically restarting, as in stopping how we can stop the normal, avoid the normal behavior. So check out that blog post there. The link again is in this thing here. And also yesterday, what I'm doing now is and what we will be doing is, having lots of terminals as normal, and having all sorts of things on our VS Code. And sometimes, or previously, we had the prompt ending here. So I started sort of typing here, and it wasn't very long to type. I like typing on a nice clean line. So this blog post here, it just is a bit of a little bit of a hack on the PS1 environment variable, and a nice sort of light-footed hack to say, I want to move the $sign round to the next line. In fact, I personally prefer a semicolon because I'm cool, or I'd like to think I'm cool. I'm not. I'm an idiot. But there we go. There's the thing. So that's why we're now starting typing on the new line. And if you want to know how I did that, basically, tail. I did that by doing that. Right, and that is explained in this blog post. So there's a blog post there. And finally, the final sort of announcement before we get started. As you know, we're in sort of the test drive period for SAP Build Code, which is amazing. And we're going to do, Tom Young and I are going to do a live stream. Oh, look, who's that idiot? Tom are going to live stream at the end of the test drive period, which is going to be Friday, April the 26th. And then my good friend Steve pointed out, DJ, you idiot, you're doing a test drive live stream, but that doesn't really cover the Americas for this special event. So we've added a new second live stream. We only have to go to one of them. We're doing very similar things in both live streams, but on the same day. 1200 EDT, I think, is 5 p.m. UK, as in 1700 UK, 1800 CEST. So we've got an extra live stream there. So there we go. Now what's going on here? Are we still connected? Yes, we're still connected. Now let's go. Okay, clear. Don't clear that one because I want to keep adding things to that. Clear that one. There we go. So compositions. Somebody put in the chat, just to start us off, what you think compositions are good for. And while I give you a chance to put that in the chat, let's go back and remember where we are. Let's get rid of that as well. Remember where we are in our back to basics sort of repo. And as you know, you can probably find, if you're not aware, you can find the CAP B2B repo here. Oh, I should add that to, there we go. Let's put it at the top there. Let's put that there actually. Let's put it as we go. CAP B2B working repository there. There we go, perfect. In that repo, we have, and we've been doing it deliberately simple, we've got a single CDS file, services.cds, in the sort of the project root. We've got some data as well in a data directory in the project root. Okay, and in that CDS file, we've got a service, and inside that service directly, we've sort of on the fly defined two entities, a books entity and an authors entity, and we have a relationship between those two entities with this association. Now, somebody put something in the chat, please, just to make sure the chat, I'm not sure my chat is updating. So, or maybe I could put something in the chat. Hello from myself. Will that appear in the chat? Oh, there it is. There, you're just all very quiet. Am I boring you to death already? Somebody put what you think compositions are good for, and we'll get round to it. So there we go. So we have this. Now, before we get into compositions and before we start to modify this to not move away from associations, we can see that associations here are about expressing relationships between what essentially are, I've already sort of seen the pattern of text. I've not read the text from Henrik, but I think Henrik is absolutely beautifully spot on. And I was hoping that we would allow ourselves to get to exactly that. So Daniel says, classical header items coming up, wink. Exactly. Now, so in contrast to that, which we'll dig into in a second, books are independent things. Authors are independent things. A book exists as a thing. An author, a human, exists as a thing, and they can be independent, right? Once an author's written a book, that book still exists. So that's why there's no sort of otherwise inherent dependency between those two. And the relationship in this case then we express with an association. An author is associated with a book is associated with an author, right? However, as Henrik says, absolutely beautiful, and refers to it as classical. Why is the word classical used here by Henrik? Because we're thinking back to, I don't mean back as in, old-fashioned, I mean just thinking about the classic, the normal unit of work almost in SAP R2 and R3 systems, S4HANA, documents, a document header and document items or positions. Okay, and that is really in my small brain the main raison d'etre of the composition type of relationship. It's where you have a relationship between a parent and children that are dependent upon that parent. And yes, while parent child in the human context is still, they're still independent things, but it makes more sense to think about positions of a document, items of a document, as not really having that much meaning outside the context of that document. Okay, so where you have a dependent relationship, does it say that in the thing? Let's have a look. Yes, contained in. There we go. Compositions represent contained in relationships. Okay, so when we want to express a classic thing like a document, a purchase order with a header and items, or for example, a goods receipt document, or a whatever, invoice, header, items, this whole SAP enterprise, basic unit of work is a document, right? So, Daniel Schlachter, hello world, Daniel. Nice to have you, Daniel, on the stream. Sunny, hello everyone, and DJ Adams, good afternoon from Mumbai. Good afternoon to you in Mumbai as well. And Zahid, compositions are good to create document structures. Fantastic. So Zahid and Henrik are absolutely spot on. So, and we can see, here's an example, right? Modeling document structures. The clue's in the name, right? The clue's in the title. Entity orders. Orders has this thing called items. Notice the capital I, right? We're moving away, but in this particular case, where we're expressing or defining an element which is being defined, when we're defining an element which is being described as being of type composition, you can see here that the convention is to actually capitalize the first letter of that element name, items. Okay, and it's a composition of many order items, and then we have this on condition. We'll come to that later. And this order items here is another entity, right? Okay, so we've still got two entities. Maybe next week, we'll have to do this next week, but we can use aspects to have sort of inline contained entities. Down there, for example, how beautiful is that, right? But we'll do that maybe next week. Let's get basics out of the way. The basics. So, associations, independent entities, compositions contained in relationships. But before we do anything else, I think, 819, I think what we should do is, Sunny says, this is my first time watching DJ Adams, in capitals, video live. I always use recorded videos. Well, welcome, Sunny, and thanks for joining live. I hope you take advantage of and enjoy the chat, which you are doing, which is fantastic. You're a good example and a good role model for everyone here who joins live. Chat. Give me your opinion. Give me your questions, as many as you want. I can't answer any of them, maybe, I don't know. But anyway, let's keep going. So what we're going to do is we're going to move away from this sort of simple single services only and data, and then move back to where we started from right at the start when we do a CDS. In fact, let's go here. CDS init temp project. If we go to temp project now, and have a look at that, we get three directories as we all know this now because we've done, we looked at the other previous episodes here. We get an app directory, a DB directory, and server. We're going to go back to that now. So let's go back there from RF temp project, and let's make let's make a DB directory and also a serve directory. Okay, and in those directories, SAPIM. hello SAP, my SAP friends, my SAP friends. That's a good emoji. That's a good name as well, actually. So if we do that, oh, Sonny has my question, which is good environment for CAP, MBAS or Visual Studio Code? Either are great. Either have the same, that's a good question. Either have the same, what's it called? Where is it called? Where is it? It's in the dev container, don't locally installed. The same SAP CDS language support extension, which makes developing CAP stuff magic. It's fantastic. So if you want a cloud-based approach, then the Business Application Studio. If you want a local approach, use VS Code. But actually, they're the same thing. Business Application Studio is these days based on Code OSS, which is the open source portion of VS Code, and there's all sorts of relationships between them. You can sort of go from VS Code and you can attach to a dev space in BAS and all sorts of different things. So it's the same thing. So great question though. I think some of the previous episodes we talked a little bit about that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to move, let me copy first of all, copy services into DB, let's call it schema.cds, okay, and then open that code schema.cds, services, there we go, services, we want that one there we go, there, let's move that there. Now, I've now split off, let's go back to the thingy here, I've now split off, I want to split off here, so we'll get rid of services and get rid of that and format that. I've worked out why I can't do this keyboard shortcut, because I'm already using that keyboard shortcut for Amethyst, my window manager. So there we go. So there we go. Let's have some sort of beautiful formatting. So now we've moved from having these entities defined inside a service, inside a services.cds file in the project root, to defining these just the schema layer. So in the DB directory, more like persistence things. Okay, so we've got books. Okay, and authors, and now I'm also going to copy the services into serve and call it main.cds, for example, right? And code serve main.cds, and now we get rid of that, and we want to bring. Oh, actually, we want the services, but now we want to bring in something in there. Okay, let me move that across to here. There, and I'll put my head down the bottom. Okay, do that. Okay, so this is where we start to think about not separation of concerns, but using the beauty of the CDS language itself in how it enables us and encourages us really to think about cleanly and separately defining the things that make it a little bit more maintainable and clean and beautiful. So over here, what we want to do is give these entities a namespace. We don't have to, but it makes our lives easier. And also, of course, when you start working in larger projects, larger than just one person, it makes it a little bit more explicit in what you're changing, what you're importing, and so on. So I'm going to say namespace org.qmacro. Think of my sort of what's it called, qmacro.org domain name, right? That'll do, right? So in this file, we've now got the same entities and this aspect. I could import the aspect from SAP CDS Common, but let's leave that there for now. Let's not go down that route. It's 824 DJ, come on! I'm sort of panicking. And now we can go into here and say using org from DB schema. What's going on here? Schema. We don't need the CDS, what's it called? The CDS extension, because that's automatic. Using org from schema. There we go. And we get that squiggly underline because, of course, it's saying, DJ, you haven't used org, but we're going to do that now. So now we can sort of bring in those two entities into our service and have exactly the same as what we had before in that in that single services.cds file, which had both in. Right, so we've now separated out the service definition from the schema level definition. Entity books as projection on org.q. Look at that. See. So going back to your question, Sonny, whether you use Business Application Studio or whether you use VS Code, with this extension you get this beauty. qmacro.books, and then just have that there, authors. And there, let's have that, save that. why don't we also do a CDS watch? Okay, Hunor, welcome Hunor says, and I like the chat between you as well. Both passes based on the open source version of VS Code. Exactly, Hunor, thank you for that. Duplicate definition of artifact bookshop in services bookshop. What's going on? Why do we get that? Because I've still got, well, check it out actually. CDS watch, it's bringing in list, in fact, find max depth 2. Just send one directory here and one directory, name star.cds. What have we got? We've still got services.cds. Remove services.cds, CDS watch. There we go. Now, okay, so now we've got, and Hunor says, on the other hand, on your local machine, you will have to take care of everything by yourself. Yes, true. Very true. Yeah. So some people like that. Some people like it to be, managed for them. Best of both worlds. So basically, now we're almost back, but I would like to also move the data directory into the DB directory, because the data directory at the moment is in our project root, but now really we should move it. I'm not going to drag it. I'm going to say move data into DB. And there we go, CD data, and really now bookshop, let's clean that one up as well. We did that just to prove a point that it's dash or dot. So let's say move bookshop dot, there's a bookshops dash authors dot CSV. Sorry, what am I doing? Books dot CSV. There we go, CDS watch. Oh, I'm in the wrong directory. CDS, and the wrong directory again. CDS watch. There we go. Lawrence, good morning to you from the Netherlands, struggling with ABAP Cloud. So happy to finally join a light breeze with Cap. A light breeze with Cap. And maybe I should rename the series A Light Breeze with Cap. Brilliant. There we go. So we've now got, same as we had before. Let's bring in another, bring that to there, another little thingy here, and start going to 4004. This is what we had before, bookshops, authors. There we go, same thing, right? We've got everything there that we've had before. We've got the metadata, looks nice there, beautiful. We've got our entity type books, entity type authors, and we've got our books and authors exposed, and we can look at the data there. We've got the player of games, Hitchhiker's Guide, and Mostly Harmless, and we've also got that. Okay, so we're no further on than we were before, but now we've got a lot more, in my opinion, beautiful, clean separation between the persistence layer, DB, schema.cds, where we have the entities defined in a namespace, and the service definition. So we can have multiple service files and different services looking at different sort of views on different combinations of these things. So now we can start to think about compositions. And why don't we go here and grab the, I'm pointing at the screen, you can't see my finger, can you? Grab this code here and start with that. Oh, I see a question from Sunny. Sunny, your question few is very strong today. Brilliant. Could you please share the use cases when we need to use a CAP-based framework or a RAP-based framework, assuming using cloud for both CAP and RAP? That's the classic question, and I will answer it very briefly by saying, if you have ABAP developers, if you're an ABAP developer and have a lot invested in that area, which of course is very likely because it's awesome, and very likely because of history, then it makes a lot of sense to keep investing in that area, ABAP Cloud and RAP. But if you are, if you've got a different organization and you have developers that are not versed in ABAP, then CAP is the perfect corollary. Is that the right word? I don't know. That just came to me. The perfect sort of alternative. Okay, so if you've got Java developers or JavaScript or TypeScript developers, then CAP is an appropriate framework to use. So, that's one very, very basic way of thinking about it, but it's also something that makes sense to me. Use the developers that you have, and therefore use the languages that they're proficient in and comfortable in, and so on. Henrik says, perhaps a session on the magic of CDS Watch. We could name it Who Watches the Watchers? Quis custodiet ipsos custodios. Is that the phrase? Quis custodiet Yes. Oh, custodes. Yes, there we go. Christus custodiet ipsos custodi, not custodes, custodes. Latin. I've not done Latin for a long time. But there we go. Who guards the guards? Who guards those guards? That's where the original phrase is from. In fact, I should put that in the thing as well, shouldn't I? There we go. Put that in there. Quis custodiet ipsos those custodias. That's accusative plural, isn't it? But it's like third or fourth declension. I don't know. I can't remember. I think we did some on the magic of CDS Watch, didn't we? On a previous episode in this series. I think we did. Lorenzo says, "Hi DJ, the convention for mock DB data should be namespace entity, shouldn't it? How is it loading anyway? Data's with namespace. Without. Okay. You know what? I was hoping somebody would spot that. That's a great question. Can I come to that question a little bit later? Because it is very, very subtle. It will load it. So basically, as you can see here, well, no, let's answer that question now. Let's answer that question because it's a great question and 1,000 points for observing that. What we have in here, oh yeah, here we go. We moved it, right? DB data, bookshop authors, bookshop books. Let's think about that for a second. Okay, in fact, we can think about it with the help of, where is it? With the help of, I think, the metadata. Let's bring that back there. Let's look at the metadata. Oh, I'm not running CDS Watch. CDS Watch metadata. Come on. Metadata. Oh, come on. There, metadata. Go. Right, we have here, we can see that we have this namespace bookshop. Where is that namespace coming from? It's coming from the service sort of context in which these two entities are defined. Okay, and the automatic CSV data loading mechanism is actually quite cool in that it will recognize that you've got files that are named after the entity in that context there, but also, I think, let's just do this. Tell you what, let's do it here. Let's CDS Watch, and also let's have that there. Let's go to books, and also let's go to authors. There's the authors. Let's rename this bookshop. Let's do Q macro. No, org.Q macro. Org.Q macro. There we go. And also there, org.Q macro. Can you see it's still doing the initialization in it from DB data or Q macro? And if we refresh that, it's still there. So it's very, I mean, one of the things you've got to think about in CAP, and in specifically to do with what Henrik was saying about, you know, the magic of CDS Watch. There's a I think we've talked about this before a long time ago. There's an adage, a motto. Duim. It's not the distribution I want. Duim. Do what I mean. Do what I mean. Duim Perl. So there we go. Writing Perl programs. Do what I mean. And I would argue that the CDS design time facilities, the tools, follow the Duim philosophy, i.e., just do it. Do what I mean. You know, I don't have to spell it out to you. Just, you know what I mean. Just do what I want you to do. Okay. And this is an example, I think, of CAP doing that. So it will say, well, you know, you've got these files here defined for an entity in this namespace. I recognize that namespace, but basically also, where is it? Let's put that there. Also, that acts as a sort of namespace. So it's taking it from, it will take it from either or both. And even if we move, let's do this. Let's open up another terminal. There we go. How do I do that? Oh yes, there. What's going on? I thought I knew the keyboard shortcut for opening up. Oh, there. Right, there we go. It's command backslash. If we say, for example, move DB data to serve, remove that. Okay, it's not going to restart because it's not watching for that sort of thing. But if we do CDS watch now, it'll still find those data files. 836, okay, I'm panicking. It'll still find those data files, those CSV data files, but in the serve, because it's got this hierarchy of routes. Remember, we talked about this before, CDS env routes. That it will look in not only for CDS files for the overall CDS model, but also for data. Okay, so in the same way, it will also, be very lenient in terms of, well, yeah, okay, books within the OQ macro or books within the bookshop. Have it. Let's have it. Does that make sense? That was a really long answer. I apologise. That was okay though. There's some more. Yes, there we go. So Lorenzo, I hope that sort of, I don't know, it answers your question, addresses your question, talks about your question. But these questions are great, so let's answer the questions. Huno says, CAP, Node.js, Java versus RAP, ABAP. Normally, if you want to do real scalable apps, you would go with CAP. In the other hand, if you only have ABAP developers in mind, you would go with RAP. Oh, that's fighting talk. I would have to disagree with part of that. I think one of the most scalable platforms and languages is the ABAP platform and the ABAP language, especially with RAP. Okay, so it's not about whether you need to have something scalable. I think it's the way that these services, some of the largest enterprise systems in the world are ABAP-based systems based on the R3 architecture. S4HANA is still on the R3 architecture, which is a beautiful architecture, and that scales beautifully. So it's not about. I don't think it's about scalability. I think for me, it's more about language. If you forgive me for saying that, Put in the chat if you disagree. That's also cool. Sonny says it. Addition to question, in terms of client will prefer which framework? Yes, exactly. That's very true. That's very true. You go to a client. I worked in a long time, decades in the sort of consulting world in SAP, and different clients, different customers have different ways they like to do things. So yeah, it's also client driven. Nitin, hello, and Helmut, Huno. Helmut is going with you, Huno. That's a good, Helmut. That's a good opinion to have. Strong opinions loosely held. I think that's another phrase. Strong opinions loosely held. I'll put the. Did I put the do what I mean in there? What we talk about. There we go. Let me put that in there as well. Pearl and Dwim there, and strong opinions loosely held. Who said that? Loosely held. This is the girl. Beyond strong opinions loosely held. Anyway, let me just put that search in there because it'll remind you to look it up. There we go. Strong opinions loosely held. Strong opinions loosely. It's a good philosophy. Interesting philosophy. Held. There. Right. Go. Right. Okay. Brilliant. So Huno says probably the only one which costs less for him for the client. So business people do not care about the technical stuff. That's true. Sadly true. In the SAP world, most of the customers would have stayed with ECC if they would not be forced to upgrade to S4. I'm not going to get into that, Huno. It's a big discussion. So Lorenzo, and so that is the reason why we can mock even data from external services with the same convention, right? Exactly. Yeah. If you have a look at what's it called? Service integration code jam. In here, service integration with CAP code jam there. If you have a look at that, you will see in one of the exercises where we bring in an external service and we define some data locally for that to be served in the mocking of that external service. Exactly the point, Lorenzo. So Helmut says, unfortunately, I know Helmut's always got great opinions. Unfortunately, often there's not any real IT strategy at customer side. SAP customers wait for what SAP leads to and decide to take the route that costs less. Yes, exactly. But this is all about CAP. So let's talk about CAP. So we've got this. Fantastic. This is brilliant, though. I love it. Let's get to the first part. Let's see if we can get a composition going in. So we get rid of that. There we go. So I think we'll leave the data there. Shall we leave let's leave the data there. It doesn't matter. So we've got the data in there. LSLR tree serve there. We've got, yes, okay. That's actually, because it's got org.q macro, it makes more sense to me to move serve data back to DB because that's where the org.q macro is, right? So tree DB, we got that there. Tree serve, we got that there. Fine. Okay. Now, Have I still got that in my buffer? No, let's copy that and let's bring that in. Okay, let's get rid of that. We don't need that for now. Do we need that? No, and no. Let's go down here and add those things. Let's now start to. It's taken me 41 minutes to type in a composition, but let's get rid of that because that's just, you know, from the example there. But let's subtly leave this comment in: to be accessed through orders only. What does that mean? What do you think to be accessed through orders only means? It's one of these three what's it called? Three treatments, special treatments. Okay, have a look at that. I keep going to my screen one. Okay, thank you, Lorenzo. So, what have we got? Entity orders. Let's define an entity orders. Let's have another thing called, so we can see which one's which, because GUIDs are really hard to look at with my eyes. So, comments. Let's have a comment in the order. You know, this order is placed by whatever string, right? Okay, and that'll do. So, what have we got here? What have we got? We've got an orders entity. And we've got this composition of many order items, very similar to association of too many somethings. Remember, we had the books, the authors association, the backlink association, where we said, for example, here, oh, there it is. Association too many books on books.author equals $self. We've got a similar too many association, or too many relationship, but this time it's a composition. And also note this, I just love the subtle difference between the preposition here, to, association to, okay, which implies a sort of equal, existentially equal relationship between the books and authors, both of which can exist independent of each other. Whereas here, notice that the preposition used is of. So that sort of implies also this thing here where it says, what is it? Where's that? Contained in. See, that contained in. So composition of, that should give you a clue and start your brain thinking about this header items relationship that Henrik mentioned. Many order items, we still, because it's up to many, we still need to have this sort of condition, okay? But basically, it follows the same idea. We have, how do you define the condition? The first part of the left hand of the equals, for example, a left hand of the equality condition says items. What is that referring to? That's referring to the name of this element. And then this element points to something, okay? It points to the order items. So the right-hand part of the, or let's say this part of the left-hand side of the equals, after the dot is an element in the pointed to thing. So it's there, parent, it even highlights it for us, right? So basically, $self is effectively the key of this entity, is me, right? $self, me, this order, right? This instance of the orders entity has to be the same as the key of this, because remember, oh, also we need to have, don't we have the CUID, right? Let's put the CUID in there. Comment, items, orders. Shall we have a CUID? Let's see what happens if we just take that. We probably need a CUID, don't we? Anyway, or some ID. So let's start that up and have a look what we get. Okay, first of all, let's save that. Let's go and open here, CDS watch. And now let's bring in, let's bring that back in again. We don't need that one. Let's go back here, back there. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, why aren't we getting that? Because we haven't exposed it. Idiot DJ. So let's bring that in and open up, what's it called? Main.cds. And let's just expose, and let's just sort of think about what we're doing here. We want to expose just our orders because we have composition targets are exposed, auto-exposed in service interfaces. Let's sort of start taking a toe in the water approach to thinking about what the heck that might mean. So we want to say here, for example, let's do that, orders as there. Okay, let's do that. Come on, restart, please. Thank you very much. There we go. Now, there we get orders. Okay, no orders. In fact, let's add some orders. Let's add some more, a couple of orders. Let's go and get. Yeah, let's have a look at the metadata first of all. In the orders, orders, entity type. There's the entity type definition. Have you noticed what's missing there? Right, what's missing there is something like this, where we have a key property defined. Property, OData, term, element, CDS term. Right. So this, of course, is just this is just the important bits of an entity definition. So we do need a CUID, of course, obviously. We need a key. So let's go back to schema.cds and add in here. Well, in fact, let's annotate it with, is that the word? No, let's decorate it with the CUID aspect. Okay. Oh, Laxe, good morning, good afternoon to you. Could you also show how the DB table gets created? The DB table gets created. What do you mean specifically there? I think I might know what you mean, or I'm going to take a guess as to what you mean, which is the SQLite thing here. Or do you mean, for example, let's just do this, for example, this thing here, so we can look at the SQL, preview SQL. Daniel Schlachter pointed us this last week. It's brand new in March 2024 release of CAP. We can see the SQL. So this is how the schema.cds translates into SQL. So we have DDL statements here that are based upon the definitions in here. So we have the create table, org, qmacro orders. So the namespace gets translated, as it were, into a prefix for the table in the persistence layer in the DDL. Okay, and here, for example, orders, the CUID, which is basically the CUID. You can see the CUID, a key ID, which adds an element called ID, which is a key element of type UUID. That gets translated into ID, nvarchar 36. Why is it 36? Because a UUID is 36 characters long. It's sort of like a string, but not a string. It's like an opaque string. Yeah, opaque. You do not look at it, do not interpret it, do not passcode, do not collect £200. Of comment, and then we get the primary key ID. The primary key is the ID. So is that what you mean? Or we can also do a deploy to the SQLite database and have a look at that as well. Let me know. Let me know in the chat if that's probably not answering your question. So now let's have a look here and refresh that, and now we get what we're looking for here, which is something that is sort of capable of maintaining a contained in relationship where the children can point back, there we go, to their parent association to orders. Look, and that, because this is a managed association, composition doesn't necessarily mean that, a contained in relationship doesn't mean that you only use compositions. You use a composition to express the pointing to the contained in thing, but that contained in thing can point back to its parent through a managed association. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Laxa. So now we can see here the order items has two key properties. The parent ID, where is that coming from? That's coming from the managed association. Remember, the managed association takes the from part, the parent, and the to part that it's referring to, which is the ID in orders there, ID, and squidges them together with an underscore, okay, and generates that as let's do that again, in the main.cds. Oh no, let's do it here. I'll do in there. What? No, I don't want that. What's going on? SQL there, in their parent ID. Okay, right. 850. We'll have to do a second episode on this because there's so much to explore in compositions. We've only just got started, right? So let's add some data. Because we don't have any data. Let's add some data, and let's go here and say, let's have a UUID. In fact, let's have two orders, UUID, UUID. Let's copy those, that'll do. And let's bring that into there, and let's now open, let's just put that there again, and let's open up, and let's have another file. Data, new file, can you hear my stomach rumbling? I'm starving. Orders.csv. Oh no, DJ, what are you doing? We can be lazy, can't we? Lazy, one of the three main features of a great programmer, be lazy. Can anybody put in the chat what I'm referring to? The famous Larry Wall adage, the three aspects of a great programmer: laziness, something, and something. So I'm going to say CDS add data. What's going to happen here? What is going to happen here? I've got it to give me, to create in the data directory in DB data, the files that are missing. We've still got the authors, we've still got the books, but now we've got those 2 files there. I don't have to create them with the names, and also it's got the things here. So ID, let's put that in there and comment first order, second order, there we go. And let's add the items as well, right? So we got the items, we got parent ID, let's have position 1, and quantity 10, and quantity 10. Let's have, in the second order, let's have, in the second position, second line item, we'll have, in the second order, we'll have 2 positions, 2 items. Item 1 and item 2, where the quantity is 10 in the first one, and so, you know what I mean, right? Okay. Ooh, there. So let's just have a look at that together. Let's put that over there. So there we go. We've got our order AC5. There's AC5's item, single item with 10 quantity, and order 609. There we got 2 order items, one with 10 and one with 20. Fine. Okay. So now CDS watch. Let's bring that back again and refresh. There we go. But so we're gonna be able to capture or start to have a look at and stare at one, just one for now. Are you okay? Put in the chat. Somebody who's put in the chat already, put some more in the chat. If you're okay in us doing a second episode, I think we need to do a second episode on compositions. Put in the chat. You know, tell us it's all right to do a second episode on compositions, so we can do it justice. Notice what I haven't put in. Let's put that over there a bit. Let's go here. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. In our main CDS, in serve main CDS, you can see serve. That's quite nice there. The breadcrumbs. Serve main CDS in Bookshop. Right. I've defined. I'm exposing an entity called orders, and it's a projection on the org Q macro orders, which I've imported from the schema level. Thank you, Visas. Thank you so much. Right. Okay. But I've not exposed order items because it says here composition targets, DJ, are auto-exposed in service interfaces. So let's have a look what that means. First of all, we've already seen partly what, put my head at the top again, we've already seen partly what that means. Look down here. We've got our books entity type, we've got our authors entity type, and we've got our authors entity type, we've got our orders entity type. We haven't said anything about order items, but it's in the metadata. Why is it in the metadata? Because it needs to be in the metadata in order to have this relationship expressed in the service. And that's what this is partly referring to, auto-exposed. In fact, if we have a look here, let me get rid of that for a second. If we have a look at let's look at the YAML. If we collapse it, this is basically the YAML encoding, the YAML language encoding, rather than JSON encoding, of the core schema notation, the sort of machine readable version of this, of main, right? But we'll dig into that a little bit more. This is back to basics. We're not going to look at this too much, but looking at this stuff tells us a ton of stuff. So org Q macro orders, org Q macro, let's look at this. Don't look at that bottom bit yet. Look at that. There. We've got, where is it? Oh, damn. Moved it. Oh, miss. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's because I'm not used to VS Code. So let's do that again and double click so it stays there. Right. Let's just go down there. Org Q macro orders. No, org Q macro order items. That reflects exactly this thing here, order items. Right, order items, it's an entity, it's got these elements, parent, pos, and quantity. But the Bookshop order items. So going back to your question, Lorenzo, this is why the CAP server doesn't really, well, it distinguishes, of course it distinguishes, but it has both. It's thinking already about both prefixed things, order items in the org Q macro context, and order items, context again is an overloaded word, in the org Q macro arena, and order items in the bookshop arena, bookshop service or Q macro namespace. These are separate things, but they both exist. And look at that, CDS auto exposed with a D. You may have already seen the CDS auto expose without a D annotation. We'll get to that. So Zahid and Ravi says, thank you. Yes, thank you very much for responding in the chat. The chat is great. So that has been generated when this schema.cds is converted, and the main CDS is converted, of course, as well. You know, when the model is built, it's a season that matters, and what we get in the generated season is this CDS auto exposed true. That means, you know, in my brain, the fact that it's a past participle, it's auto exposed with a D, means that it's done for us, right? And that relates exactly to auto exposed. It even says there, auto exposed, you know, clues in the name type thing. What does that mean? That means that we get it there. But what that also means is, move across there a minute, what that also means is when we go to orders, we can say, can we say, will this work? Expand equals, what's it going to be? Items. Items because, let's get rid of that for a second. Make that bigger, get rid of that there. Because this is the relationship, the navigation property in OData terms that we've defined because of this composition that we're using. Items, capital I, expand equals items. Will this work? Yes. Yes, yes, and more yes. What I want to leave you with, though, is a really strange thing. No, actually, no, that'll do for now. That'll do for now. So let's just recap in the final minute. We have defined, let's get rid of that there. We've defined a new entity orders and a new entity order items, two separate entities. Next week, hopefully, we'll get round to looking at where we don't have to define a separate entity, which is, you know, is sort of very subtly, slightly, not cumbersome, but, you know, flat-footed, you know, I don't know. It would be nice to define something like this, sort of in line. So that's what we'll look at as well. But we'll also look at more on the auto exposure, right? And the difference between, oh, tell you what, really subtle, 858, and the difference between auto exposed, let's do that, and auto, if I say CDS auto expose without a D, auto expose, as in I'm doing it as a human, annotating that, I do that, that'll restart. If we now go here, refresh, it's there, right? There's a subtle difference between auto expose and auto exposed. Auto exposed is sort of internal, implicit, and auto exposed. Now we can look at the order items, right? Before we couldn't. And in fact, the final thing, if we get rid of the auto expose, oh my goodness me, get rid of that and save that. Did I get rid of that? No. Come on, down there. Delete, save, restart. Oh, go there and go back there again. But if we refresh that, it'll say entity bookshops order items is not explicitly exposed as part of the service. Bombshell to leave on. So we'll look at what the heck that means, what that means in terms of the composition targets for auto expose. We're going to do cascaded deletes next week, which is like beautiful. And then we're going to do some deep inserts as well. So basically, this is a classic sort of, again, going back to what Henrik said right at the start, this is the classic document structure, header items. Often you want to create a whole document with the header and the items together. Bam! Compositions are what are beautiful for that. Okay, that's it for now. Thanks for joining. Have a great weekend and see you next time. Bye!